Well, Charlotte, thank you for coming on the Red Carpet Roundtable podcast.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Can you let everybody know about you? Would you please introduce yourself?
Okay, so I'm Charlotte Buholm. Sorry. Um, I'm 18 years old. I was born in Washington. I've done pageants for a few years now. I started with Miss Teen Washington Latina, and then I just recently did the Empowering pageant, which was absolutely amazing. And I won a title, which is Miss Universal North America.
That is amazing. Congratulations.
Thank
And
you.
I'd like to go into a little bit about you. What made you decide to go down that career path to go for a pageant? And let's go from there.
Okay, so when I was younger, I used to always love cheerleading. I was super into it. I used to come home with my little pom-poms and make up my own choreography, show my parents on Christmas little dances I would make up to the Christmas songs and stuff. And I just always loved like performing and like acting almost and just having fun in front of like my family to entertain them. And then when I was 13, I started struggling in school slightly because COVID was going on. There was a lot of stuff going on. And then what happened was I ended up getting into an altercation with this girl. She shoved me into lockers. It turned into me not wanting to go to school anymore. My parents were like, "You need to go to school though." And I was like, "I don't want to. I feel like everyone hates me and there's COVID and it's just terrible." And then I so slowly developed like almost like arthritis in a sense. I have lupus, which the easiest way to explain it to people so they can understand it is like arthritis because it messes with your joints, your immune system starts attacking itself, thinking that it's sick when it's really not. So then I had to go to the hospital. They had to give me a bunch of meds. I went through a bunch of medication that made me lose my hair, gain weight, and then just put me in this awkward stage. And when I was going into high school my freshman year, I didn't feel the way I used to in middle school because I used to be like super pretty and popular in middle school, but get bullied for being pretty. And now I was getting bullied for looking so much more different. And I didn't feel as confident as I used to when I was a little kid. So my parents encouraged me to try a pageant and they were like, "Come on, like you used to love performing when you were a kid. Try it, please. Just one chance. If you don't like it, you can just do whatever you want. Just you can't give up. You gotta try." So I was like, "Okay, I'll try." And my friends encouraged me too. They were like, "Yeah, Shirley, like, come on, you've been so down lately, and we understand why you're so like sad because it's super hard being only like 13 and still learning how to live with something like that and constantly having to take meds and go have doctor checkups." And they were like, "Just try it." And so I did, and I really enjoyed it. And then well, now I'm here. I'm just so happy that I did do it because I feel like if I didn't, I still would have been that kind of like shy, insecure girl that I was. Because it truly helped me realize that beauty's not just what's on the outside, it's what's inside. And sometimes you just need someone or multiple someones to help you pull it out.
That is so true. I'm glad you did it and made that decision. And, it just shows people who you are inside. And
Yeah.
that's so true. And I was about to ask you about lupus, and thank you for explaining it. And now you can correct me. You're an advocate about lupus as well. Is that correct?
Yes, I try to be. I try to, document my process through it because I know for me it's slightly a little bit more different because I've done my own research on it myself because I mean it's fascinating. It's something that not a lot of people have. Selena Gomez has it, and I get compared to her a lot, so I've actually done quite a bit of research on her. She had to get surgery, which is the extent of like getting very, very ill with lupus. There are like multiple stages, and I was just luckily when we discovered it right barely enough where we medicine could help it instead of needing surgery, which I was very grateful for.
Hmm.
And lupus is just something, since I live with it, I want to share with people because not a lot of people understand that there are things that you don't see that are going on with people, like mental health. That's another thing I try to advocate for because your lupus can mess with your mental health because of the medication you take, and just it's when you're not physically well, you don't feel mentally well.
Right. That's good. You're a mental health advocate. Same with me. Mental health is very important.
Yes.
And then it's great that you're an advocate for lupus and spreading awareness to let other people know about it. So that's absolutely amazing. Now here you are, you have the crown and everything. So what's your next path? Where do you see yourself doing next? Let's, I'm just curious, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people are curious as well. Where do you see yourself now, um, going forward? Do you see yourself continuing, or do you see yourself, being an advocate more for lupus and mental health? Or what do you see yourself now? I mean, that's my answer, question I was going to ask you.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm a senior in high school. I'm eventually planning to go to college, but I'd like to take a little bit of a gap here where I can focus more on not just myself, but like really like influencing and like explaining more about my lupus because I've still been a little bit shy of explaining everything that I've felt through my lupus because it's something I'm still myself. Sometimes I'll have the nights where I'm processing it and I'll be like, "Oh my gosh, like I like that really happened." Like it's sometimes scary to think about, but then I remember if I don't share it with other people, people will think, oh, nothing's wrong with me. Da, 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 da. Like, but that's not true. Just because physically I look fine, that doesn't mean that behind closed doors I am fine. Just
That's
kind of
absolutely
like,
true because we don't
yeah.
know what's going behind the person, what they're going through, and that's why treat
Mhm.
people with the way you want to be treated. That's so
Exactly.
true. And now you said you want to take a gap. So let's go a little bit in the future. You're a senior now. Where do you see yourself going to college, and if you're going to college, and do you
Yeah.
have if you mind, if you don't have to, but is there any colleges names that you're thinking, or do you think about going out of state, or do you think about staying home where family is, or do you feel like, I was like, you know what, I want to go adventure another state. What do you want to do?
I think I would like to stay probably in state, but if I really, really, really thought about it, maybe like California or like, travel a little bit too. But I think staying in state for me would be okay. I'd be with family. The
Hmm.
place I grew up would be nice, yeah.
That's nice. That's so.
But I would really like to go to a school for design. I've always loved designing clothes, imagining designing buildings. So for me, like, I don't just want to limit myself to designing one thing. I want to be
Hmm.
able to do furniture, houses, clothing. So I want to first take my little year to experiment, see what things I really, really like and what things I like, but not so much. That
Right.
would really decide what fits me, what suits me.
Mhm. That is so true, and I'm glad, and I hope you continue your career path in doing that. And I know you said you're taking a gap from doing pageant. So, what's your next pageant? I know you said you're taking a gap, but I'm just curious, what is your next pageant goal or your pageant that you're aiming for? Do you see yourself doing it universal, or do you see it doing it for your own state again? Or I'm just to help the audience because I know only a little bit about pageant. Please forgive me, but um, tell me and everybody else more about what's your goal, about what's your next path in the pageant industry.
Well, I definitely want to continue to pursue other people to definitely try pageants because I feel like it's something good to do for, especially when you're a young girl and you're trying to figure out who you are. It really helps you kind of pull yourself out and kind of go, oh, like, wait, I like this or I don't like this that much, or just, I feel like it helps build confidence. And for me, I want to help other people maybe do some pageants and also eventually I would like to maybe in a few years because I'm 18, so maybe like when I'm 23 or 24, go on to maybe Miss Universe.
You never know. That's a goal
Never
and that's a
know.
dream. Um, I know I want to go back a little bit and rewind. And I know we talked about lupus, and if you mind me asking, what was going through you when you heard you were diagnosed with lupus? And what were you thinking, if you mind me asking, and what were your mental health at that time, and what helped you to finally realize, let's focus on the future and let's just, I'm trying to find the right wording. I don't want to say part of my life, but if you know what I'm trying to say, it's not coming to
Yeah.
my brain, but um can we go into details a little bit about
Yeah.
that? Sorry, my brain froze.
No, you're okay. I get what you're trying to say. Like get into detail, really talk about where my mind was at and
Mm,
where I where I felt and how everything was going on in my brain during that process. Well, for me, it was really scary because at first I was just at home and I just felt sick, kind of like you had a cold or like a little cough. And then it started getting really bad to the point where I couldn't walk anymore. And I was like, oh my gosh, like my bones hurt, like everything hurts. Like I feel like literally like I'm being crushed, like I just can't get up. And I was like, oh, that's not normal. It's really weird. But I was like, maybe I'm just super sore. Maybe because I used to work out a lot. So I was like, maybe I overdid it. Maybe I messed up a muscle, messed up something because I used to do cheer too, so I'd do backflips and be just crazy and wild and very active. So I thought just on accident I hurt myself.
And that's absolutely true. Sorry, real quick, because when you work out and you get hurt, you're like, ooh, yeah. So I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
so
continue.
no, yeah, so I just kind of brushing it off, thinking it's something normal. But then it got really, really bad, and my nose started to bleed. My lips started to like chap up to the point where they'd scab and bleed. My ears were bleeding, and I was like, okay, this is not anything normal anymore. Like, I need to go to the hospital. So my mom and me rushed to Seattle Emergency Hospital. We're going through a bunch of tests. They're going, we have no clue what's going on with you. Da, 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 da. I'm freaking out because I'm like, if they have no clue, what the heck? And then I'm in pain. They're like, oh, here, we're going to give you these meds. So I take IV fluids. They're running me up and down through multiple tests. Then they go, okay, you're gonna have to stay overnight because we still have no clue what's going on with you. But they found out that this one medicine they gave me was like suppressing whatever was going on and I didn't feel as bad. So they're like, okay, we're gonna continue to give you this medicine, but we don't know how long that's gonna work for, so we're gonna have to run a bunch of tests on you tonight. They continued, and then I ended up falling asleep. They ran me through tests while I was sleeping still. They moved me up to the cancer facility. And when I heard that, I started freaking out. And the nurse goes, "You don't have cancer. This is just one of our best facilities because all the nurses are up here, everybody's watching. And you, since we haven't figured out what's wrong with you, we're trying to have high alert on you, just watch you and monitor you." So I'm like, okay, I don't have cancer. Okay, 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 I'm fine. I'm scared, but I guess I'm fine. I don't have cancer. And then I'm sitting there and my parents are coming and going. There's nurses coming and going. I'm just kind of feeling like everybody's watching me, and I understand why because well, I'm extremely sick. My parents think I might die. I think I might die too. Everything's super chaotic and scary. And then the next day, after a bunch of hours of tests, like five doctors come in and they go, "Hi, we're from Rheumatorth. Da da da. We're here to talk to you about all the tests that we've ran on you." And they start naming all these things, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I don't know what any of this means. I'm 13. I'm so lost. I'm so confused. And then they go, basically, we're gonna sum it up for you. You're gonna have to take medicine for almost the rest of your life. We're slowly gonna try to take you off of it. And eventually, the end goal is that you no longer have to take medicine at all. You still will probably have to take vitamins to stay healthy and stuff, but we don't want you on any strong medicine because they originally had me on prednisone, which is like a steroid, which made me lose all my hair. So there was a lot that I had to learn how to slowly process with and adapt with, and all the meds that they gave me, I would have to eat multiple large meals just to get my stomach not to be upset before I took the meds and after I took the meds. And it was just such a weird but very eye-opening process for me because I was like, okay, I need to be more responsible for myself. Like, I need to be able to take my medicine and do this and then do that. And I had to create the schedule for myself. And then sometimes I would mess up my schedule and then I'd freak out and be like, oh my gosh, everything's messed up. I forgot to take this pill because I had so many pills I had to take that. At first, it was really hard for me, and I was like, "Ugh, did I take that? Did I do that? Oh, I don't know. What? And it was just always so very stressful for
Right.
me. And then I slowly started, I was like, do you know what? I'm sure there's other people who have this issue. And one of the first people that I heard about was Selena Gomez. And I already slightly knew that because I love Selena Gomez, always have. So I was doing some research on her and I was like, oh wait, like okay, this is how she deals with it. And then my dad told me to try this diet for people who have like stuff messed up with their stomach and like arthritis because he said that it was similar. And then I would do my own research and then I tried all these other things and stuff. And then recently I just went to the doctor and they told me everything is looking really good, which I was super happy about. They told me that they're actually going to cut down on some of the meds, which we've slowly been doing over time, which is something that's so amazing and I'm so grateful for because usually it takes quite a few years, but I've gone in remission very quickly and it's been something I've been very, very grateful for.
Wow, thank you for sharing that. And what a testimony, what a journey you've been through, and a tough journey. And we come on the other side, it came out a positive way, and here you
Yeah.
are. And thank you for sharing that because there's probably a lot of people out there who are probably experiencing the same thing. They're wondering, oh my goodness, what is happening? And when they hear your story or Selena Gomez's story, they understand this is what's going on. So, and you are doing a pageant. Here you are, continuing on your life. It's a powerful testimony to hear because a lot of people would want to give up. They're like, oh my goodness, why should I do a pageant? Why should I do this? Why? And thanks to your friends and your family supporting you and telling you to do it, and you are
Yeah.
doing it. And that's a big testimony of not giving up and keeping the courage and the faith and keep fighting and believing in yourself. That's the true testimony that I am seeing from you. So thank you for sharing that.
You're
And
welcome. Yeah. I mean, for me, I've always felt like it doesn't matter how many times you fall because I know even to this day, sometimes I let myself fall and I sometimes I want to stay on the ground and I don't want to get back up. And I sit there for a moment. I'm like, do you know what? I'm just gonna sit here and think about it for a moment. But then eventually you can't sit there forever. You
No.
gotta get up. You gotta
Hmm.
get up and try. Because
That
as
is
soon as you
so
sit there and
true.
you decide to stay there, then you've lost. You're stuck. You don't
Hmm.
want to do it for yourself, then nobody can really push you. Yes, people encouraged me to, but I didn't do it until I fully was like, do you know what? I do want to do it. So it's really you gotta be able to help yourself first.
That is so true. Thank you for sharing that and your testimony, and it's a powerful testimony, because this is the first time I had a guest on my show that is, experiencing lupus, and um, I that's what I love about my show, because I've interviewed actors and actresses and directors and producers and models and
Mhm.
Miss India and stuff, and having Miss Pageant comes on, and then your story about lupus and doing pageant and continuing on and pushing yourself and believing in yourself is the key. And
Mhm.
you're doing that. You are doing that. I mean, it just words can describe how much meaningful it that you are showing the world that there is a purpose in life, there's a meaning in life, that we can get together and just focus on everything else, that there's a purpose and that we
Mhm.
can find ways to have fun. And you
Yeah,
did that. You found ways to have fun. So
I
congratulations on everything you're doing, and and many more to come.
thank you.
You're very welcome. And of course, you already talked about you're going to take a break, and then during that little break, you already mentioned it. But are you going to be advocating in your community more about lupus and mental health, or are you going to be focusing more about your school? Where do you?
I think a little bit of both. Definitely, you can always find a balance in between where I'm gonna try to advocate a little bit more because I definitely ha I have been, but I feel like if I really take a year, I can really get out there and like really like a podcast like this where I get to talk to you about it. I'm enjoying that because for me, it's easier to talk about it with someone like this than for me to sit down and be like, oh, hey guys, like record a video. Oh, I went through this and this. It's a little bit awkward for me, but if I get to talk about it, I feel like we're really connecting and people get to understand it more.
Well, you taught me. I appreciate you, and and everybody else who's going to be watching this has learned a lot about lupus and what the signs are and everything. So, I mean, wow, it must have been so scary, bleeding from the nose and the ears and all that, and I can't even imagine that. I mean, that is so scary,
Yeah.
but in the positive side, here you are,
Mm-hmm.
and so I appreciate it, and please just keep going and keep doing your pageant. It means so much. So. My next question is, where can everybody find you on social media so where they can listen to you advocate and talk about more about lupus and about mental health, and where they can find out where your next pageant is, what you're going to be doing, and let's go from there.
Yeah. Everybody can find me at Charlotte and then dot Buholm, which is spelled Buholm on Instagram, and that's as well as on Facebook. And on Instagram and Facebook, I have my Instagram for my lupus tagged, which is lupus dot underscore with dot underscore char.
Ooh, that's a lot of underscore.
Yeah.
And my next question is, what is the best advice you ever heard and received?
Ooh, okay. For me, the best advice that I've ever received is definitely that the people who try to tear you down and act like what you're doing isn't good enough or you're not trying hard enough are the ones who are just doubtful in themselves. And the ones that encourage you, oh, try this. Oh, it doesn't matter if you fail. All that matters is that you tried. Those are the people who you really should surround yourself with. Even if you think but those are my friends. You need to be around people who will uplift you and make you feel like you really can do something. Because if you have people who make you feel down, you're gonna feel down. You're not gonna feel encouraged. So
That is
definitely surround yourself. Or if you don't have people who encourage you, like for me, I look for people like on social media who are spreading positive things, talking about lupus or talking about domestic violence or just talking about things that we need to focus on and bring more awareness to.
that is a great advice. Thank you for sharing that, and that's so true to spread awareness about lupus and and mental health and let m more people know aware about it in every whole world to know more about lupus
Hmm.
and have everybody talk about it. So um and now for like I said, it's I want to congratulate you again
Thank
for
you.
being the Miss Pageant and then thank you again for sharing your powerful testimony about how you became sorry my brain how you became and how you are here you are and being with lupus, and it's a testimony that it's there is a purpose in life. I
Hmm.
really mean it. So I really do appreciate you sharing it to the it's brave for you to talk about it, because I know a lot of people who may be watching you or following you on Instagram, or they're want to do what you're doing. They want to say, I want to talk about my experience with lupus, but I'm afraid. And I'm pretty sure a lot of men or women out there who are watching you, um, or following your Instagram will realize, if you can tell your story, then they can tell their story. And
Yeah.
then they can hear your story about, what, she tried and she succeeded being a Miss Pageant. That means I can do it too for a lady, or who, and men out there, whatever they want to do, they can do it too. And so you just shared your testimony about encouragement, faith, keep fighting. There's a purpose in with lupus, and you're being an advocate, and you're telling more about in your community, in your state, and it's going to spread. And I'm glad a lot of people will learn more about lupus. So I appreciate you sharing your story.
Yeah. I'm glad I was able to share with you.
Yeah, you appreciate it. You're very welcome. And thank you for following me on Instagram.
Of course, yeah.
It means a lot. And I cannot wait to have you back on. I really can't. I really want to have you back on again in the near future and see what you're doing and see what in your next pageant is, and have you back on, of course, again to talk more about your lupus and spread
Yes,
more
of
awareness
course.
about it.
I would love to do that. We can circle back and
Yes.
see
Well, thank
see
you
where we
again
stand.
for
Yeah.
coming on, and I look forward to speaking with you again soon.
Yes, I look forward to talking to you again.
All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, enjoy your day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.